Fidget spinners and toys are all the rage right now. What with all the attention deficit disorder this modern world has brought with it. So you'll be glad to find out that you don't even have to shell out a lot of cash for one of these toys, as you can build one using objects you can find around your house. Here are the top 10 fidget spinners and fidget desk toys you can easily make.
Amazing!
Number 10. Clam Spinner. You can get the materials for this one at your local hardware store easily. All you need is a pair of clamps, 2 small bolts, 2 marbles, and a bearing. First off, clamps come with a pair of bolts when you buy them, so you just have to replace them with shorter ones. Then, you just have to place the bearing in between the clamps and screw the small bolts on its sides. Now, in order to balance the spinner, make sure that the bolt head on one side of the clamp is on the opposite side of the other when you attach them. Also, remember that you don't want to screw them too tightly, or else the bearing won't be able to spin. Afterwards, grab your marbles and use a glue gun to apply just a tiny bit of glue on it before sticking them to both sides of the bearing. This will give the bearing less friction, which allows for a longer spin with your toy. Who knew clamps could be a source of fun? Number 9. Magnet Desk Toy. Satisfy your inner magneto with this little toy you can make with stuff lying around your house. First, grab 4 sticks of equal length and use some super glue to make a square frame with them. Now, grab another stick half the length of the ones you used for the frame and a small magnet. Glue the stick to the middle of the frame so that you'll have a stand. Then grab your magnet and glue it to its center. Then, you'll need about 4 small nails and 4 strands of yarn, using a clothespin to keep the nails in place. Glue the yarn to each nail head. After that, place each nail on the frame. Make sure that they're just within about a ½ centimeter away from the magnet, so that they don't completely touch. Once you've done that, just glue the other end of the yarn to the frame, and watch as the nails stay firmly in place because of the magic of magnetism. Lastly, grab a couple of really short sticks, and glue them at the bottom of your magnetic temple perpendicularly to serve as a stand. Number 8. Chain Cog Spinner. This has got to be one of the coolest looking fidget spinners out there, and you can make one yourself. All you need is a bike chain, a sprocket with a button, electrical tape, scissors, and chain breaker. Now, the first thing you have to do is wrap the chain around the sprocket to measure how many links you have to use. Break the chain with your chain breaker when it starts to overlap. Remember to keep the metal rod from the bike chain after you do this, since you'll need it later. Next, grab your electrical tape and stick 2 piles of it together. Depending on how thick your bike chain is, all you have to do is cut the electrical tape so that it covers the center of its links. After that, stick the sprocket in the middle of the chain with tape on it and wrap it all around. Then secure it with your chain breaker using the metal rod you saved from earlier. There you have it, a spinner made from bike chains. Number 7. Alternative Chain Spinner. This is a variation of the bike chain spinner that is as simple, if not simpler, to do. First, you'll need a bicycle chain that's about 1/2 by 3/32 inch in size, and some zip ties. First, arrange the chain so that it looks like roughly the shape of a triangle and slip a zip tie in between its links on both sides. Remember to have each zip ties lock facing opposite each other. Take the excess ends of the zip ties and insert them in the remaining links, then lock them. Don't tighten it too much just yet, though, as you need to leave some space for the bearing. Slip your bearing at the center of the chain, and then use some pliers to make sure that the zip ties are properly tightened. After that, you just have to cut off the excess zip ties and you're done. If you want to keep the bearing in place, you can also apply some epoxy around it before sticking it in the middle of the chain. Number 6. Newton's Cradle. Physics becomes better when it comes in the form of toys, and Newton's Cradle provides exactly just that. To build one of your own, take a rectangular block of wood and place washers on all its corners. Then, drill holes in the center of the washers so that you'll have a proper base for your cradle. Once that's done, remove the washers and screw in a threaded into the holes. You then have to superglue some nuts on top of each rod, with each facing the other lengthwise. The next step is to screw in some threaded rods through each pair of screw facing the other. Now, grab some copper wire, cut it into about 1 inch each, and bend into horseshoe shapes. After that, superglue each bent copper wire on top of a metal ball. Finally, grab some string or plastic wire, slide into the copper wires, and tie them up on each side of the rod you placed on top of the base. You can always add some superglue to the string to strengthen its hold on the rods. Number 5. Paracord Spinner. You can make a fidget spinner out of almost anything, really, like the Paracord Spinner here. What you need to do to build one is to first surround your bearing with 3 pieces of paracord in a way that it appears like you're forming a triangle with them. Tie each side of the paracord in a snake knot afterwards. However, you have to make sure that the bearing fits the center of knots you make with the cords. Once you've finished with that, tie another snake knot on each side of the spinner to properly secure it. Now, grab some hex nuts and slide into each pair of cord on all sides of your spinner. When you're finished with that, keep the hex nuts in place by doing a diamond tie on each side of the spinner. To make sure that the bearing won't slip off the paracord, just super glue around its outer rim a bit and you'll be fine. Lastly, just cut the excess cord on all sides and use a lighter to seal them off. Fidget away. Number 4. Spinning magnet. Now, this is a spinner, but not the fidget kind. Anyway, it is still one that is just pretty cool and easy to build. To start off, you're going to need a couple of metal balls. Then grab some wire, cut it into 2 small parts about 1/2 centimeter long, and bend them into U shapes. You then have to super glue the wires on top of the metal balls to serve as hooks. When you're done with that, grab a sturdy rubber band, cut it in half, and tie it onto each hook. Remember to cut off any excess rubber once you finish tying them up. Now, in order to strengthen the bond between the rubber and the hooks, you simply have to go get yourself some adhesive tape. Electrical tape works well here, and wrap it around each end of your knots. This little thing works pretty much like a wind-up toy, which is a perfect alternative for fidget spinners. Number 3. Lighter spinner. Recycle old lighters by turning them into a fidget spinner using these steps. First, grab yourself 3 empty cigarette lighters. Now, what you have to do is cut the lighter, leaving only about 1/4 of its length from the top down. If you're wondering how to cut it, just use a simple box cutter for it. So, once you've done that, you have to find a cylinder the same size as your bearing and some sandpaper. Wrap the cylinder with your sandpaper and start sanding the bottom of your lighter heads until it matches the bearing. When you're finished, grab some super glue and apply it to the bottom of the lighter heads. Then stick it to the outer rim of your bearing. That's it. You have your very own environment-friendly fidget spinner. Number 2. Balancing sticks. This little toy right here clearly shows the magic of physics, and it doesn't take a lot of work to do as well. First, grab yourself a stick and cut off its edges neatly so that it'll be flat. Grab a couple of steel balls of equal size and weight, and superglue each to both ends of your stick. When you're done with that, grab another stick, cut it in exactly half the length of the first one, and then superglue it right in the middle of the first stick. Again, glue another steel ball on its end the same size and weight as the other 2. Now, for the base, all you need is a small rectangular piece of wood, about 1 inch in height, a cork, and whatever small figure you have lying around. Superglue the cork to the wooden block. Then glue the figure on top of the cork and you'll have a neat little base where your sticks could hang. As I said, hooray for physics. Number 1. The simplest fidget spinners. You don't even need to go to the workshop to build yourself one of these simple fidget spinners, and that's what makes them amazing. Take this one for example. You'll just need some bearings and shoelaces. To get started, you'll need 7 bearings of equal size, 1 for the center, 3 for its sides, and the other 3 simply to calculate the spacing between each side bearing. Place 1 bearing in the middle, then arrange the other bearings around it to form what looks like a flower shape. Now, mark the side bearings you want to leave behind so that you know exactly where to glue them. You can now remove the other 3 bearings once you've done that. For the remaining side bearings, you first have to sand them on where you marked, since that's the part you're going to glue to the center. When you're done with that, you can use super glue or epoxy to make them stick. Grab your shoelaces and use super glue to wrap them on the sides of your spinner. And you're done! Here's another one you can make using zip ties and bearings. Just grab 3 bearings, wash them with gasoline and lubricant to minimize friction. Then, go get 3 zip ties and tie them with one another, forming a triangle. Once you've done that, arrange your bearings adjacent to one another within the area of the zip tie triangle. Tighten it and cut off any excess parts. Once done, secure the center bearing by adding a couple of zip ties in between each side bearing. There you go, 10 fidget spinners and fidget desk toys you can easily make. Got any ideas of your own? Tell us in the comments section. And if you like this video, don't forget to press that subscribe button to keep you updated whenever we have a new release. Also, feel free to share this through social media. It'll really help a lot. Till next time, thanks for watching.